Welcome back. The trial against movie star Alec Baldwin is set to get underway in a New Mexico court on Tuesday, where jury selection will begin in the involuntary manslaughter trial against the Rust movie producer and actor. Baldwin was on set, wielding the prop gun that fired and killed cinematographer Halyna Hutchins. The armorer for the film, Hena Doba, is facing 18 months in prison after she was found guilty of that same charge for her role in Hutchins' death. Caitlin Becker is here with more. Caitlin, you've been following this from the very beginning. So what does the case look like against Baldwin?
Well, prosecutors are pretty much preparing to paint him as just being erratic, aggressive, and really careless on set. We know that they're going to introduce a lot of video evidence to the jury. What exactly that looks like is unclear. Now, the incident happened during a rehearsal, so I'm not sure if they were rolling on it at that time, but essentially what they're trying to say is that he was kind of willy-nilly with the weapons on set. So I think they're going to have quite a bit of evidence to try to convince the jury of that when they ultimately sit down. And basically what they're saying is he also didn't attend any weapons training that was sort of mandatory. So they're really trying to look at him and saying he wasn't sort of taking responsibility for this. And to be clear, he's not being charged necessarily as the guy who fired the gun. It's also because he's a producer on the film. So the safety measures on set, they're saying, was one of his responsibilities. That was under his purview to make sure that the set was safe and sound.
So let's break this down. What is Alec Baldwin facing if he is indeed found guilty?
So he and the armorer, Hena Doba, were both charged with involuntary manslaughter, and the maximum sentence there is 18 years. She received the maximum sentence already. So they're both facing the same charges, and she already got the max. So that might be an indication of what we can see moving forward. But to be clear, she provided the gun. She was the one who didn't make sure that there wasn't a live round on set, which is not supposed to happen. And she's the armorer. So this is really what she was in charge of. So I don't expect, if he is convicted, that he's going to get the max sentence.
Let's talk about Baldwin's defense. How is that shaping up?
Well, basically, that's the whole point that they are saying, pointing to Hena Doba.
Right.
There should not have been a live round on the set. Period. End of sentence. That is what they're going to say, and that it was her responsibility to make sure there wasn't, and she's already been convicted. So he was never aware that there was an actual bullet in this gun. He was told that the gun was cold, meaning not a live round in there, and there shouldn't be a live round on set, period. Now, according to prosecutors, he did fire a blank towards a crew member earlier in the process. So they're basically saying, and you can get injured, even if it's a blank.
Right.
So they're pretty much saying that regardless of the fact that it was a live round and it shouldn't have been there, that he should have been responsible. But his defense is going to say not his responsibility.
I am curious about the armorer, Hena Doba, of course. She's appealing her conviction on the same charge of involuntary manslaughter. What role is she expected to play in Baldwin's case?
Well, she's on the prosecutor's list as a witness. They intend to call her to the stand to discuss exactly how this went down on set, and she's been trying to fight through the court system to not testify out of fear that any testimony she could give under oath could impact her appeal. She didn't, of course, take the stand. So when you're looking at a situation where you're on the stand under oath, having to say, yes, I did this, no, I didn't do this, and then have an appeal saying it wasn't my fault, there are some issues there, but we do expect her on the stand.
And I know you'll be following the case next week. Caitlin Becker, thank you.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.